So Riddhi, can we start? Hello. Can we start? Hello.
हेलो,
Yeah, Riddhi, can we start?
मैं जीवक बोल रहा हूँ सर.
Oh, I think they are not able to hear us. I think Jivak.
Okay.
Okay. Arundhati, can you hear us? Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. Can we start then?
Sir, we're going to start in 5 minutes.
Why are we waiting? Can we start now? We can start, I suppose.
Okay, sir. We're starting.
So are you ready? So Arundhati, if you are ready, then just let me know.
Okay, sir. I'm ready, sir. We can start if you.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Arundhati, she is going to speak today on treatment of locally advanced esophageal cancer. It is basically a ASCO-based guideline which was just published few months back, and she will take us through the journey of CA esophagus from the radiation oncology perspective in correlation with surgery and chemotherapy, and how to amalgamate the treatment of CA esophagus. So over to you, Arundhati. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Today, we are going to discuss the ASCO guideline on the treatment of locally advanced carcinoma esophagus. This article is a recent article published in the month of June this year in JCO, and the principal investigator of this study is a medical oncologist, Dr. Manish A. Shah, and the team is consisting of radiation oncologist, surgical oncologist, pathologist, gastroenterologist, and etc. So, So what is the purpose of this guideline? The purpose of this guideline was to develop an evidence-based clinical practice guidelines for the locally advanced esophageal cancer. The article has taken into account recently published literature in between 1999 to 2019. A total of 17 randomized controlled trial was included, and they have separately extracted data for squamous cell carcinoma and adenocarcinoma. So these are the key questions that we are going to discuss today. What are they? Therefore, patients with locally advanced CA esophagus, that is T2 onwards, node positive, non-metastatic esophageal carcinoma, is after surgery is adequate for them, or there is room for neoadjuvant or adjuvant therapy in addition to surgery. Again, if neoadjuvant or adjuvant therapy is needed, then what is the preferred modality separately for adenocarcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma? For this guideline, the guideline development process was this, and I'm not going into details, just to emphasize that the patient population were locally advanced esophageal cancer with SUAT1 and 2 gastroesophageal junction adenocarcinoma. And what about the inclusion and exclusion criteria? If the patient population was accrued at least in part after 1999, regardless of the publication date of the article, it was included in the study. And the abstracts that was not subsequently published in any peer-reviewed journal, that were excluded, and studies that were comparing only chemotherapy regimen, one chemotherapy regimen to another chemo regimen, that type of studies were also excluded. So what were the study outcomes? So basically these are the headings we are going to discuss. Here I have a small disclaimer to make that while making this presentation, I have went along the algorithm of the original paper. So there may be overlap of points, overlap of treatment management protocols, and there may be overlap of included articles. So bear with it for better understanding and to reach a specific guideline at the end. So what are the heading we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss regarding the neoadjuvant chemotherapy versus surgery alone in adeno and squamous cell carcinoma. We will discuss whether perioperative chemotherapy is beneficial rather than surgery alone in adenocarcinoma. Preoperative chemoradiation versus surgery alone in both the histological subtypes. Preoperative chemoradiation versus only preoperative chemotherapy in adeno and squamous cell carcinoma. And we will discuss some specific issues regarding squamous cell carcinoma only. To come into our first point, that is neoadjuvant chemotherapy versus surgery alone in adeno and squamous cell carcinoma. This publication came in Lancet in 2002. They had clearly shown that there was an overall survival advantage, and the advantage was clinically statistically significant in the patients where they received neoadjuvant chemotherapy rather than upfront surgery. And there was no additional serious adverse effect if chemotherapy was added before surgery. Another publication came in JCO. They have shown that the biologic effect of pre-op chemotherapy, it specifically influenced the extent of surgery. And this influence ultimately indirectly converts to the survival advantage of this group of patients. And they have shown a 6 months DFS advantage, and this thing holds true for both adeno and squamous cell carcinoma. So what is the answer of our first question? That preoperative or neoadjuvant chemotherapy followed by surgery, it is beneficial for both squamous and adenocarcinoma. Coming to the second thing, that is perioperative chemotherapy. Is it needed? That is chemotherapy before surgery, surgery followed by again the same regimen of chemotherapy, or upfront surgery is here comes the famous MAGIC trial. It came in 2006, NEJM. They have given chemotherapy 3 cycles followed by surgery followed by 3 more cycles of same chemotherapy versus upfront surgery. Here the primary endpoint was overall survival. And they have clearly shown that for adenocarcinoma, a perioperative, that is pre-surgery and post-surgery chemotherapy has decreased tumor size, tumor stage, and given significantly improved PFS and OS benefit. Sorry. Another study, they also studied the same thing, that is perioperative chemo versus upfront surgery in adenocarcinoma. Here, for multivariate analysis, favorable prognostic factor for survival were perioperative chemotherapy. And also, they have concluded that perioperative chemo significantly improved the curative resection rate given disease-free survival and overall survival advantage. So, we can conclude that perioperative chemo followed by surgery is preferable for the adenocarcinoma. Now, coming to the next issue, that is preoperative concurrent chemoradiation followed by surgery versus surgery alone. The thing is that if we use preoperative chemoradiation in adenocarcinoma or in squamous cell carcinoma, is the result going to be different depending on the histological subtype, or they will act similarly? To address this question, first, I will talk about the studies that have taken into account both adenocarcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma. This publication in Lancet 2015, they have shown that there was no PFS or OS difference between the groups, that is a neoadjuvant chemoradiation followed by surgery versus surgery alone. But concurrent chemoradiation followed by surgery had more complete resection with clear margin and also fewer positive number of lymph node in surgery, and the difference was statistically significant. And one more important finding was that patients with squamous cell carcinoma had better PFS when they were treated with neoadjuvant chemoradiation followed by surgery rather than non-squamous tumors. This study, published in 2008, CalGB 9781, they also told us the same thing. Their patient population was mixed population, that is for both squamous and adenocarcinoma. They, in their intent to treat analysis, there was a median survival advantage, also 5-year survival advantage, and the difference was statistically significant. And they have concluded that use of chemoradiotherapy followed by surgery in the treatment of esophageal cancer should be the standard of care. Another study, they had also mixed population. Most of them had adenocarcinoma. 1/3, 1/4 of them had squamous cell carcinoma. They also showed that median overall survival was there, and overall survival was significantly better in concurrent CTRT followed by surgery group. Now, coming to another famous trial that came in Lancet Oncology 2015, that is CROSS trial. What have they done? They have done that neoadjuvant chemoradiation plus surgery versus surgery alone for esophageal or junctional cancer. They have shown that after a median follow-up of 84 months, median OS was 48 months in neoadjuvant CTRT group and 24 months in surgery alone group. But the most important finding that this trial gave us, that median overall survival advantage was there for both squamous and adenocarcinoma. And in both the cases, it was statistically significant. It is clearly shown that P equal to 0.008, P is equal to 0.038. But though it is beneficial for both the histological subtypes, this CROSS trial clearly showed that it is more beneficial for squamous cell group of patients. If the patient histological variant is squamous cell carcinoma, then neoadjuvant chemoradiation followed by surgery does better rather than for adenocarcinoma. But for both the subtypes, the neoadjuvant chemoradiation followed by surgery gives OS benefit. Now, after dealing with this mixed population, we are going to adenocarcinoma. This study, published in 2015, they had given Xelox regimen along with radiation, and they have concluded that entire chemoradiation group had R0 resection, whereas 80% of the patient who had concurrent neoadjuvant chemoradiation increased the rate of R0 resection, demonstrated favorable safety in adenocarcinoma. Now, after dealing with adenocarcinoma, going to squamous cell carcinoma. Though this study that came in Annals of Oncology in 2004, that is a bit of older study. This study, here surgery was performed 3 to 4 weeks after concurrent chemoradiation, and they have shown that although preoperative chemoradiation induced high clinical and pathological response, but they did not convert to a OS or event-free survival advantage. That is, the resection, higher resection rate, higher R0 resection rate was there with neoadjuvant chemoradiation in squamous cell carcinoma, but there was no overall survival or event-free survival benefit. So, with this, another study that dealt with squamous cell carcinoma, it is a more study, that is Neocritic 5010. They have shown that when there is a comparison between concurrent chemoradiation followed by surgery versus surgery alone, there was median overall survival along with prolonged disease-free survival for concurrent chemoradiation followed by surgery group. The last trial which addresses this issue, that is, this trial has a bit different protocol. That is, they have randomized patients into 3 groups: pre-op chemoradiation, post-op chemoradiation, and surgery alone. But there was no significant difference in OFS or PFS, but the local recurrence rate were comparable when CTRT was given pre-op or post-op setting, but it was much more in the upfront surgery group. So they concluded that the rational application of pre-op or post-op chemoradiation can provide a benefit in PFS and OS for locally advanced esophageal cancer. So what will be the answer of our previous questions? That is preoperative chemoradiation versus upfront surgery. It is clear now that preoperative chemoradiation followed by surgery is clearly beneficial for both adeno and squamous cell carcinoma. So coming to our next question, that is preoperative chemotherapy alone followed by surgery, or preoperative chemo followed by chemoradiation followed by surgery, which is beneficial for adenocarcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma. We are going to deal with adenocarcinoma first. This publication in 2009. Here, the patients were addressed to neoadjuvant chemotherapy followed by surgery versus neoadjuvant chemo followed by chemoradiation followed by surgery. And patients who had received neoadjuvant chemoradiation, they did better. Though the study was prematurely closed due to a low accrual, but their results point to a survival advantage for pre-op chemoradiation compared to pre-op chemotherapy in adenocarcinoma of the esophagogastric junction. This is a famous trial, that is POET trial, dealing with adenocarcinoma, published in 2017 in European Journal of Cancer. They also showed that when pre-op chemotherapy followed by chemoradiation followed by surgery was used, there was overall survival benefit, at least a trend to the benefit of overall survival. But this trial, NEORES trial, published in 2016, this trial has given a bit different result. They have shown in this specific trial that survival by histological tumor type, when it is analyzed, there was a trend towards improved survival after addition of radiation in patients with squamous cell carcinoma. But for adenocarcinoma, when radiation was added with chemotherapy, there was a poorer survival trend, but it was a trend only. So what is the answer of our previous question? That is pre-op CTRT versus pre-op chemotherapy in adeno or squamous cell carcinoma? Yes, pre-op chemoradiation is preferable for both the histological subtypes. Next, we are going to discuss some specific issues related to squamous cell carcinoma only. What are they? We have previously seen that through MAGIC trial, in case of adenocarcinoma, perioperative chemotherapy is beneficial. So can it hold that? Can the same thing holds true for squamous cell carcinoma also? This publication has addressed the issue, that is perioperative versus preoperative chemotherapy with surgery in patients with squamous cell carcinoma. And this trial has concluded that in patients with operable esophageal squamous cell carcinoma, perioperative chemotherapy can significantly improve 5-year relapse-free and overall survival compared to pre-op chemotherapy alone. Next thing is pre-op versus post-op chemotherapy. Chemotherapy neoadjuvant or adjuvant, are they same for the squamous cell carcinoma? No. This publication in 2012, they have clearly concluded that pre-op chemotherapy with cisplatin 5-FU can be regarded as standard of care for patients with stage 2 or 3 squamous cell carcinoma. So pre-op chemotherapy is still standard of care for squamous cell carcinoma. Coming to another issue, that is preoperative chemoradiation versus chemoradiation alone, that is definitive chemoradiation for squamous cell carcinoma. These two publications, they came recently, rather 2005 and 2007. They have clearly shown that if totally responded to chemoradiation, it identifies a favorable prognostic group, and adding surgery to this group of patients may benefit for local control, but there will not be any survival advantage. So if a patient, he or she is totally responded to the chemoradiation, then surgery can be omitted as there is no survival advantage will be there. So with these, I am going to some current studies that are exploring the research questions of interest we are dealing with. Coming to first the ESOPIC study, it came in 2016. It dealt with adenocarcinoma. This study is comparing efficacy of neoadjuvant chemoradiation, that is cross protocol, followed by neoadjuvant chemotherapy followed by surgery, that is cross protocol, versus plot protocol, that is perioperative chemotherapy and surgery. And for this study, it is hypothesized that perioperative chemo will result in increased OS due to comparable local effect and better control of micrometastatic disease site. So we are waiting eagerly for the result. Another study that came in 2017, NeoAegis, what they are doing, they are randomized the patient in 2 arms. One arm, patient are getting 3 cycles of neoadjuvant followed by surgery followed by chemotherapy. Second arm, patients are getting 5 cycles of neoadjuvant chemo followed by surgery. And here, primary endpoint is overall survival, secondary endpoints is pathological, clinical response, tumor regression, node positivity, quality of life, and disease-free survival. Another study, this is important. Not all patients, but some of the patients in our practice, we know that a patient we are planning for neoadjuvant chemotherapy followed by surgery followed by 3 cycles of same chemotherapy again. But sometimes it happens that neoadjuvant chemotherapy is completed, patient has undergone surgery, but after that again 3 cycles neoadjuvant chemotherapy we have given, but shortly after that patient comes as metastatic. So can we do something in between to assess the metastatic status of the patient? This PreSanus trial came in Lancet 2018. This addressed this thing. What they have done, after completion of neoadjuvant chemotherapy, they have done esophagoduodenoscopy for the patient with biopsy and endoscopy, and patient with histologically proven locoregional residual disease that is evident by no pus during endoscopy. These patients were immediately underwent surgical resection, whereas in the remaining patients, a second clinical was done using PET-CT followed by surgery 12 to 14 weeks after, so that distant metastatic follow-up has already been done before surgery. Another interesting study, that is next study. This 3-arm phase 3 trial, it has started on November 2012. Its purpose is to confirm the superiority of DCF regime over cisplatin 5-FU regime and the superiority of cisplatin plus 5-FU with chemoradiation over cisplatin plus 5-FU as preoperative therapy for specifically squamous cell carcinoma. And primary endpoint is overall survival, secondary endpoint being PFS, resection rate, response rate, etc. So we are eagerly waiting for the results of the studies. So after this long discussion, coming to the main points, that what are the recommendation of the ASCO for the locally advanced CA esophagus. Coming to our first question. For patients with locally advanced esophagus carcinoma, is neoadjuvant or adjuvant therapy necessary? Yes. Multimodality therapy should be offered to patients with locally advanced esophageal cancer. Although outside the scope of recommendation of locally advanced esophageal cancer, here the expert panel recommends that if a patient had clinical earlier stage cancer, that is T2N0, surgery alone may be considered, but the treating physician has to be absolutely sure regarding the pre-treatment staging. If the treating physician is absolutely sure that it is really specifically T2N0, not beyond that, then surgery alone may be more appropriate for this group of low-risk patients. And there should be, again I'm emphasizing that there should be sufficient degree of confidence in the results of pre-treatment staging. And one more thing is that if the patient of an earlier stage is going to be treated with surgery alone, then it should be surgery, because pre-op chemoradiation is inferior to surgery alone in this regard. Coming to the second question, that if neoadjuvant or adjuvant therapy is necessary, we have already proven that neoadjuvant or adjuvant therapy is necessary. So what is the preferred modality for adenocarcinoma? For adenocarcinoma, what we should do, pre-op chemoradiation or perioperative chemoradiation should be offered for patients with locally advanced esophageal adenocarcinoma. What we should do, neoadjuvant chemoradiation or perioperative chemotherapy, that neoadjuvant followed by surgery followed by rest cycles of chemotherapy. When we are considering subgroup wise, for patients if surgery is not feasible, then chemoradiation without surgery is recommended for that group of patients. If patients are not candidate for radiation or postoperative chemotherapy, then pre-op chemotherapy should be considered. If they are not candidate for radiation, not the candidate for post-op chemotherapy, then chemotherapy before surgery should be considered for them. One important thing is that postoperative complication will be more severe in the patients who are receiving concurrent chemoradiation than the patients who are receiving chemotherapy only. So when you are adding radiation to the chemotherapy for your patient in the pre-op setting, consider the potential for patient tolerance based on tumor location, patient general factor, and after that, if treating physician thinks that it is the patient potential is adequate, then only add radiation to chemotherapy in the pre-op setting. And if there is chance that the surgery patient is going to undergo will be less optimal or less extensive, then it is better to add RT, because it will be more beneficial for the patient. Another important thing is that adequate quality and extent of surgery includes clear margin, adequate nodal dissection within appropriate nodal field, and obtaining at least 20 lymph nodes. It is mandatory in the surgical field. Though it is outside the scope of systemic review, the ASCO panel recognizes docetaxel, oxaliplatin, leucovorin, and 5-FU, that is FLOT, as the standard of care for perioperative chemotherapy in adenocarcinoma. If it is not available or not feasible for the patient to take, then it can be substituted with a similar platinum-based regime. So, coming to our third question. What is the preferred modality of neoadjuvant or adjuvant therapy for squamous cell carcinoma? For squamous cell carcinoma, we have to give pre-op chemoradiation or chemoradiation without surgery, that is definitive chemoradiation for locally advanced squamous cell carcinoma. So we have already seen that patients who respond completely to concurrent chemoradiation, they are better prognostic, they have better prognostic chance. So here addition of surgery may offer minimal benefit, that is local benefit, but there is no survival benefit. So option of surveillance and salvage surgery can be taken, but it should be kept in mind that upon disease progression, salvage esophagectomy will be needed. So you have to be prepared for that, for both the physician and the patient. In patients in whom radiation is not an option, here preoperative chemotherapy may be considered without radiation. If patient is not going to take radiation, then only preoperative or neoadjuvant chemotherapy before surgery is an option. For cervical esophagus, especially cervical esophagus, concurrent CTRT is the treatment of choice. Here surgery should be kept in reserve for the persistent of recurrent disease. And while concurrent chemoradiation and surgery are preferred, if patient is refusing surgery or patient is not going to tolerate surgery, definitive chemoradiation is an option also. So going towards the end of my presentation, the ASCO expert panel ultimately advocates an individualized approach for patients, taking into consideration some specific factors, that is histologic type, likelihood of metastatic disease or nodal involvement, tumor size, tumor location, surgical approach, response to neoadjuvant therapy, overall health and performance status. And overall, a multidisciplinary team management approach should be applied. So now I am going to end my session, but a quick recap. What were the answers of our key questions? First question, is neoadjuvant or adjuvant therapy is necessary for locally advanced? Yes, multimodality therapy is necessary. But for T2N0 lesion, surgery alone may be considered. If surgery alone is considered, then it has to be surgery alone. Preoperative chemoradiation has inferior role. Number two, if it is adenocarcinoma, what should we do? We give preoperative chemoradiation followed by surgery or perioperative chemotherapy. If surgery is not feasible, definitive CR, that is definitive chemoradiation is recommended. Perioperative chemotherapy recommended for patients who are not candidates for radiation or postoperative chemotherapy. Coming to squamous cell carcinoma, what should be the preferred mode? If response to radiation, surgery can be avoided. If RT is not an option, only preoperative chemotherapy can be considered. Definite chemoradiation for cervical esophagus, especially surgery should be considered for persistent or recurrent disease, and definitive chemoradiation for the patients who cannot tolerate or refuse surgery for squamous cell carcinoma. With this, I'm concluding the session. Thank you. So, questions I'm happy to take.
So it was a very good presentation, Arundhati. You know, you have
Thank you, sir.
like covered it very beautifully and in a very concise way.
Thank
If
you, sir.
anybody is having any questions, then we can take.
Am I audible?
Yeah, audible.
Yes, Mukti,
Yeah.
you're audible. You know?
Arundhati, excellent presentation. Much
Thank
of the
you.
things are now cleared, but still being a radiation oncologist, I have one question, that is in the last part of your slides, that second point for the adenocarcinoma, there is two options actually. One is preoperative chemoradiation or perioperative chemotherapy. So is there any trial or something so that we can prove that we are more useful, like neoadjuvant chemoradiation is better than perioperative chemotherapy? Is there any head-on trial, or we are
For,
just doing?
for adeno?
Yeah.
For adeno, perioperative chemotherapy, we are banking upon our old MAGIC trial in 2006.
No, I am not saying that. I am saying that there are two options. For adenocarcinoma, you have shown that there is two options. One is neoadjuvant chemoradiation followed by surgery. The other option is perioperative chemotherapy. But there is a or. So chemoradiation is one of the option, but is there any trial that is planned or that is ongoing, or anything where the head-on perioperative chemotherapy versus preoperative chemotherapy, chemoradiation followed by surgery, some trial design is there or not? I am asking that.
No, not I am aware of.
Okay,
it may be there, but I am not aware of.
No, because we have to prove that we are more useful than only perioperative chemotherapy. That is, I'm joking.
No. That's the important thing. As a radiation oncologist, always we have to prove something.
We have to struggle to find our evidence. Also.
Yes,
That's
obviously.
why I am asking. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Arundhati, can you just highlight about the dosing part? You know, like dose is often the confusion. Ki what dose you'd like to give in CA esophagus? You know, I'm
Sir,
talking about the radical
the
setting.
thing is that in this article they have not given any specific guideline regarding the dose, and the studies included given from 40 gray to 60 gray. But in our day-to-day practice, what we do, uh, we give the dose of 50 within 50 to 60 gray, because some studies have already shown that dose escalation above 60 gray, it adds to toxicity zone. So what we are doing, previously used to give some dose about 59 for gray, but nowadays with our experience we have cuddled it to 54 in 30. Probably generally all the patients we are going for 54 to 54 in 30 fraction. And if there is huge esophageal growth, when the may intent weekly, so mean that though it is not officially palliative, but in the practical intent is going to be palliative, then only we give a dose of 13 10 like that. Otherwise we are going for 54.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hi. So, what will be dose for neoadjuvant esophagus? I mean, do we practice 41.4 gray the cross protocol? Yeah.
For neoadjuvant, yes, we practice, but most of the patients we give 50.4 in 28.
Exactly, because I think there was a discussion someday before in TMC conference that many patients actually they are planned for 41.4, but this patient may not turn up for surgery.
So it's better to give
It's
the
better to
dose.
plan for the whole thing, and then if the patient is not a candidate for surgery or refuse surgery, they should at least give the full dose to complete the treatment.
But sometimes we give that, but the guideline does not say so actually.
Okay. Yeah, no guideline actually for that. That's why I asked.
So if you don't have any further questions, then can we conclude it?
Arundhati, it was a nice presentation.
Oh, madam is there.
So, ma'am.
Yeah. So good. We had some discussion on the dose also. And as you said, if you have to give preoperative RT along with CT, the dose is not more than 41.4 gray.
Yes.
Because it has been seen that if you give more dose, the post-op complications are more.
Complications are more.
Yeah. That's why we will stick to 41.4.
Just
Okay.
a cross protocol, yes.
Yeah, that's a cross protocol. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have any question?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah. Please continue.
Sir, if following neoadjuvant chemoradiotherapy of 50.4 gray, a patient of locally advanced esophageal cancer, a middle or lower third esophageal cancer, shows a complete metabolic response on a PET CT. Should we go for the surgery for that patient, or observation will suffice in that case?
For if it is squamous cell carcinoma, and there is complete metabolic response after concurrent chemoradiation in neoadjuvant setting, we can omit surgery. But you have to be prepared that patient may require esophagectomy in the future in case of recurrent disease. But for adenocarcinoma, it is not so. In adenocarcinoma, there is no head-on trial like definitive chemoradiation versus chemoradiation followed by surgery, unlike squamous cell carcinoma. So for adenocarcinoma, till now, we are not going to omit surgery. But for squamous cell carcinoma, it is definitely an option if the patient has complete metabolic response.
So, ma'am, how often should we go for this PET CT? How many interval wise? every 6
Interval
months?
wise, no, there is no such guideline. I have already shown a new trial, that is recent trial, pre-Sano trial. There I have shown that they have, just a minute. Just a minute. Now, this thing that is pre-Sano, what they are doing, they are doing interval PET CT after completion of chemoradiation. Before going to surgery, they are doing esophagoduodenoscopy and endoscopic ultrasound. If the scope is not getting passed, then it is clear that there is residual disease. Then the patients are immediately underwent for surgery. Otherwise, they are going for a PET CT evaluation for distant metastatic warfare. After that only, they are undergoing surgery. So there is no definite guideline whether you should be doing a PET CT in between your treatment. So if you are confident enough, if you are confident enough that, or you are under, then to see whether it has complete metabolic response or not. If it is specifically in a squamous cell variant, if it is adenocarcinoma upfront, then there is no scope for this thing. Okay, you can go for a PET CT, but even if it is a complete metabolic response, till date you cannot omit surgery. But if for a squamous cell carcinoma, you can do a PET CT before going to surgery. If it is complete metabolic response, you can omit. Okay.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome.
So with this, we can end the presentation. Arundhati, thank you so much.
Sir, there is one question in the chat box from Protyusha.
Okay, what is the question?
This is the dose for post-op, and for cervical esophagus, do we give a higher dose? If yes, then up to what dose we can go? So there is two part. One is for adjuvant setting esophagus radiation, and another question is for cervical esophagus, what will be the dose? So two questions.
Okay, Arundhati, you want to take?
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. So for cervical esophagus, no, we are not going to give a higher dose than 54 gray. Okay. And for post-op also, post-op, if we are giving post-op dose, that is after neoadjuvant chemoradiation, the dose is should be well within 54 gray. For cervical esophagus, some trials, patients had been given dose to up to 60 gray, but beyond 60 gray, the toxicity. And from the 54 to 60 gray range, they have already shown that though the toxicity is acceptable, but there is not much advantage also. So for the time being, we are going till 54 gray.
Okay, that's fine then. Okay. So with this, we come to the end. Thank you so much, Arundhati, for a beautiful presentation, and thank you all of you who have joined on a Tuesday afternoon. It really means a lot for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll end the session then.
Thank you.
Thank you.